So one of the tools for design is to write the idea in the form of code. We call this pseudocode.
What does that mean?
It is just a list of steps that need to be performed in order to realize the design in your mind. So, for example, if you're making a recipe for some dish, then you'd say do this, do this, do this, do this 3 times, and so on. So that's what pseudocode is also going to be. So, for example, my first step is going to be initialize the ports. So I'm going to say initialize ports. And I don't care about how it's done. I just want to make a note to myself that I have to initialize the ports. The second step is I want to make sure that the switch is involved, switch 1. So I said if switch 1 is not pressed, then repeat step 2. The idea is that as long as the switch 1 is not pressed, I keep waiting in this stage and monitor the switch, and once the switch is pressed, I go to the next step. So when I go to the next step, I flash the SOS once. I flash SOS once. And after having flashed SOS once, I will perform another step, which is as a part of this flash SOS once, I'm also going to delay for a short while so that the successive flashes don't look like they're back to back. So I delay for 5 seconds maybe. So now once I have the SOS flash once, I'm going to check whether the switch 2 is pressed. If switch 2 is not pressed, then I'm going to repeat step 3 and check again in step 4. So I perform this as long as the switch 2 is not pressed. That tells me to disable the SOS. Now, if I find that it's pressed, then I come to this step, which is step 5. But as an embedded system, it's going to have to repeat indefinitely. So I'm going to go to step 2.
Professor Urabali, you sound like an English teacher. Let's show you how an engineer would do this.
Okay, show me.
All right. That's pseudocode. Let's repeat this as a flowchart. As a flowchart, we're going to specify what we do with boxes and then show how we connect the boxes together with lines. So one of the standard flowchart elements is to do something over and over. So it would look like this. So what we have is we initialize and then we do something over and over.
This could be the main loop of our embedded system.
Yes. So what would be the body of this main loop? What would you like to do in the body?
It seems like what we have to do is flash the SOS.
All right. So we'll put in here as our main loop the SOS. So now this system here that we built is going to flash the SOS over and over again.
But it seems like we haven't accommodated the switches.
All right, so let's read the switch. I'll put that up here. So we're going to read the switch. That's going to be switch 1. We'll read it. And then we're going to test the switch. And that's going to be a do while loop. So we will do, which is reading the switch, and then while the switch is not pressed. Over and over. And if the switch is pressed, what would you like to do?
Well, I guess we have to flash the SOS.
There we go. We're done.
Oh, no.
No.
What about switch 2?
Oh, I forgot switch 2. Yeah, okay. So what does switch 2 have to do? So if I press switch 2, what should happen?
It should turn off the SOS.
So we'll read switch 2 because we just got to find out what it is. So that's the operation of reading a switch right there. And so if switch 2 is pressed, then we're going to stop the SOS. So that's our yes. But what are we going to do if switch 2 is not pressed?
We continue the SOS.
So I'll do another SOS. There we go. So we have a second do-while loop here looking at switch 2 so that it does the SOS and the switch 2. But we left off how to do an SOS. So we've created a function called SOS.
So a composite box then is represented by a box with double lines on it.
This
and
thing
that's
here.
And that's going to be a subroutine we might write.
Okay. Called SOS.
So
And what's the first thing we do with an SOS?
we do an S.
S. Okay, so we'll first do an S. All right. Then what do we do?
An O,
Oh, yes. Sounding easy now.
and an S again.
All right.
And let's delay.
Oh, delay. Yeah, I forgot about the delay.
And then
Well, how do we get back?
and then get back.
How do we get back?
We return. So now we have a flowchart that gives us a detailed view of how we're going to design the system.
Now can we build it?
Let's do it.